Hey folks, this is Ryan, and thanks for checking out my 6-month review of the Whoop. I got a Whoop about 6 months ago, and if you tune into the video, you're probably wondering if the strap is any good or if you should get one for yourself. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what my experience was with the strap, what the pros and cons of it are, and what type of athlete I think needs it. Um, so I'll save my ultimate opinion for the end of the video, so stay tuned to the end. But it's going to depend on what type of athlete you are. So just jump right into it. Some of the pros that the strap has, I guess metrics that it gives you is that it does things like we'll look at some of my metrics here. It tells you about your sleep. So if we look at the sleep icon here, what I got here is it tells you how many hours of sleep you have each night, the quality of your sleep, the duration of your sleep, if you have any disturbances. If you look in on any of these, these days, it'll tell you, how much REM sleep you've had, how much deep sleep you've had, how much light sleep you've had. I'll circle back to the usefulness of this later. Another one of the metrics that it gives you is your recovery. It tells you how you, at the start of the day, how ready you are to, or theoretically how ready you are to tackle the day. The recovery zones are go anywhere from green all the way to yellow to red. If you're in the green, it's assumed that you're fully recovered. If you're in the yellow, you're a little bit strained, but still you're a little bit tired, but still able to perform. And if you're in the red, then you're considered to be pretty tired and overreached, perhaps. So it tracks that, and then it also monitors the strain of your daily activities. So how hard was that day that you rode? The max strain is a 21. That's where I don't know where they get that number from, but it's 21. So I would say like you have a number in the 15s. Probably between 15 and 20 would be a fairly standard training day. If you're over 20, it's probably an extremely hard ride or a race. And then anything below 10 is definitely an easy day or an off day. So those are the basic metrics that it does. It also, I guess I'll point out, it also tracks calories. It's actually not a bad metric, especially if you're trying to track your energy. It's if you want to make sure that you're getting adequate nutrition, or if you or maybe trying to cut weight. It's a fairly useful tool. It is on the conservative side in a good way, I'd say. I think a lot of those calorie apps out there overestimate how many calories you burn. This, you're really good to get a sense of how many calories you're burning in a day and how many calories you really burned on that workout. I think we are pretty guilty of often overestimating how many calories you burn after a ride. You'll be surprised to see that it's not as much as you think. So I think that's a pretty good metric. Some of the cons that I found with the strap was I found there was a lot of error. Like, for example, it tracks your heart rate, and it'll tell you your heart rate metrics during a workout. And I've seen errors where it was as high as 15 beats above what it actually is. That's comparing to my Wahoo strap. So it'll say my Wahoo strap will say I hit a max heart rate of 170 in a workout, and the strap will set 185. I tend to believe that's an error because it is a wrist monitoring strap. So you have a lot of movement there, a lot of interference that's going to happen. So it's not going to be that accurate, and it's also reading off the pulse of your wrist. So as opposed to a strap that's directly on your chest. The strap placement was always an issue. If you don't have the strap in the right spot, it's very prone to error. You got to kind of ride the strap up your arm and it's kind of silly because your arm is sort of conical in shape, so the strap wants to slide down, but it needs to be up here. So that was kind of a pain, that to keep pushing the strap up to keep it fairly high up your wrist, and I find it personally to be a little bit uncomfortable too. So I was never, after 6 months, never really got truly comfortable with it. One of the other things I found was that if the battery ever died on you, which was fairly easy to happen, a charge lasted about 5 days. It could cause lots of bugs to happen in communicating with the app on your phone. That's how it tracks it through Bluetooth. I was getting data losses, and then a couple of times when the battery died, I had to reset everything, and it was real hassle. And it takes a while for the data to catch up again, and I think one time it took like 3 days for the data to catch up. So that was kind of crappy. So if you have the strap, make sure you don't ever let the battery die. And then just in general, I found it was very prone to air. The strap moves around easily. If you lose contact or with your skin for periods of time, whatnot. The app gives you in the site and their site, they give you all kinds of data, like what's normal range, for example, the HRV, the heart rate variability, or sleep, or whatever. And I don't know, like for example, with me, they would say like a typical HRV was in the 60s to 70s, and as high as 150. Well, I was like always in the 30s, and so I always thought that was kind of questionable. One of the good things about the app is that they have good support. If you message them, they'll respond right away, and they're very responsive. But yet on the other hand, you pay for that. Like, this service was very expensive. It's $30 US a month, and after exchange, there was months where I was paying almost $45 a month. So I thought that was pretty crazy. So is it worth it? Well, let's talk about what kind of athlete you are. So if you're a cyclist, I'm going to say no, don't waste your money on this. There are other ways that you can, what I think are more effective ways you can monitor your performance. If you're an endurance athlete, like maybe a runner or a cross-country skier, then this might be more applicable. So let me explain why I say this. So if you are a cyclist and you are paying $45 a month, after 12 months, $40 to $45 a month, you're going to be looking at spending about $500. I think that you'd be much better served to take that $500 and buy a power meter. And then you have a power meter on your bike, and it's a one-time investment. And then you go and you use a program called Gold Cheetah, or maybe you already have a Train Peaks account and you use it anyways, and it gives you the same metrics as the Whoop. So I'll just give you an example here. So if I look at, let's see here, my profile. So this is a typical training week for me. This was about a 16-hour week, and I want to show you how the metrics compare between a Whoop, the Whoop metrics, and then a free app such as Golden Cheetah based on power. So if we look at, let's just start at the beginning of the week, Monday, February 1st. I did a workout. We can go to the activity and find out what I did here. Well, I guess Monday was off, so it's off day. So yeah, that makes sense. So Monday's an off day, so I'm gonna be highly recovered. The strain is very low, so there you go. On February 2nd, I did a 2-hour workout. Probably had some intensity on the trainer. So as you can see, on February 2nd, according to Whoop, my strain went up, my recovery dropped, which makes sense. Go to the PMC chart here. We have February 2nd. You can see the yellow line here is your sort of acute stress score. So when it goes below 0, it means that you're becoming stressed. When it goes 0 above, you're basically becoming very rested or recovered. So it's sort of you can see it's following in line with this recovery score. So you have this recovery score. February 3rd, you have a dip, So it's pretty good there. So you can see February 4th is going up here. It's going up a little bit. February 7th was the end was a Sunday, and February 6th was the Saturday. So I did 2 big rides on those days. So you have February 6th, I did 4 hours 20 minutes, and February 7th, I did 4.5 hours. So naturally, you see a big dip in the stress. This purple line here shows the load, so that's you could call that your stress score. So you can see that it sort of goes up here. You have a high stress on the Sunday, high stress on the Sunday. So what this is basically demonstrating to you is that this data here comes from my power meter, and this program is free to use. Or like I said, if you're already running on Training Peaks account, you get these same metrics. So right away, if you are a cyclist, you're basically, and you have a power meter, your Whoop is pretty redundant. The sleep metrics are kind of interesting and nice to have, but I don't really feel they give you a lot of useful information. Nothing that you can just figure out on your own. By, it's pretty easy to count how long you've been in bed for, get an idea of how long it took you to fall asleep, and have an idea of how solid you slept. I found over the 6 months that very little I did would impact the quality of my sleep. I always sort of got the same proportion of REM sleep, deep sleep, light sleep. It was always the same, never really varied. There are sleep hygiene things you can do to improve the quality of your sleep, but you don't need to pay $45 a month to learn that kind of stuff. You can do that all for free. What else is there to say about this? There may be some benefits to the Whoop if you're a cyclist. Like, for example, maybe, and you should be able to avoid this, but maybe if you didn't set your power properly. So like this strain here, these strain values are based on your testing. So like your power testing. So maybe if you didn't test for a while, or you didn't test properly and you put too high or too low values in, then these numbers might become a bit skewed. It might look like you're more recovered or less recovered, whereas the Whoop is, it doesn't take any of that consideration. It's just pure physiological response. The other thing I found with the Whoop is that sometimes there can be a bit of a lag. It might say that that you're recovered, but it's pretty obvious you're not recovered, or vice versa. It might say that you're tired, but you actually feel pretty good. Whereas the power data is a little more on point, where the output, it's what you're able to do that day, and you can see the cumulative stress. So I would say that as a cyclist, I'm going to have to take a pass on the Whoop. It's just a redundant piece of information. The amount of money you can save on a year subscription, you can buy a power meter that lasts you a lifetime. And then I think you'll get more useful data, and then you'll also have the power meter for doing things like your pacing and monitoring your progress and your performance, which is something that Whoop won't do. Now, if you are an athlete, like I said, like a skier or a runner that doesn't have a power meter, then I can see Whoop become more useful, because obviously there's not as many metrics to monitor your physiological response to your training in that case. You have your heart rate, and you can heart rate monitor, and you can track, there's plenty of apps out there to track your heart rate, but as we all know, the heart rate's very susceptible to lots of parameters, like the temperature, your hydration levels, or whatever. So it's maybe not as good of a way to track your training. So I can see this as being more useful if you're maybe another endurance athlete. If you're an athlete, if you're a non-endurance athlete, then yeah, I think this is probably a complete waste. Like if you're a bodybuilder, maybe a hockey player, a soccer player, maybe some short. You're really not going to see any benefit from this. I think this is only applicable to endurance athletes, and yeah, that's about my feeling of Whoop. So any cyclists that ask me if they should buy a Whoop, I'm going to advise against it. It's just it's a waste of money. It's nice to have. Maybe if you have lots of disposable income, you don't care, and you you then go ahead and buy this or pay for the subscription. But the other thing too is that it takes time to use the Whoop. Like you got to take the time to review your daily data, review your monthly data, your monthly reports, weekly reports, if you want to get use out of it. I found after a while that I just couldn't be bothered to look at what I was at the reports I was getting. So and in part of it is because I already knew that I was collecting the data on my power, but yeah, it's just another thing that complicates your training, I think. So yeah, I'm going to take a hard pass on the strap. I think I had a few points I wanted to talk about, but I can't recall them right now. So feel free to ask me any questions in the comments, and I will surely respond. Sorry for a lack of content lately. It hasn't been a lot to really video log about, but as the things sort of shape up over here, weather improves, bikes are in place and stuff, I'll surely upload more content. Thanks for tuning in, and yeah, stay subscribed for more videos.